When the gunfire erupted, Oscar Stewart was already inside the sanctuary, listening to a reading of the Torah. The 51-year-old Army veteran could tell instantly the shooter was inside the building as the staccato burst exploded from the lobby. People screamed and panicked congregants rushed for the exit. At first, Stewart started to run with them, but then something made him stop and turn toward the gunfire instead. He can't really explain that split-second decision even now, but says it must have been the hand of God that turned him toward the lobby. Hi, I'm Garvin DeShazer, and this is your Daily Inspiration. It was another beautiful Saturday in California, but this one was special. It was the last day of Passover for the Jewish faithful, and many around the world were at their local synagogues honoring the traditions of their faith. Unfortunately for the people at Congregation Shabbat in the city of Poway, that Passover would end in a decidedly non-traditional way. In the middle of the Torah reading on the morning of April 27, 2019, shots rang out across the lobby and sanctuary. By the end of the incident, one woman was dead and 3 others were wounded in a senseless tragedy. Yet stories of profound heroism have emerged from this incident. Almog Peretz, who was visiting from Israel, was attending the service that day with his friend Danny Almog and his family, including his 2 children, when a young man burst into the lobby with an assault rifle and began spraying the congregation with bullets. As Danny remembers it, he was just shooting like crazy, just spraying. All I cared about was finding my kids. I was on the floor crawling to go through the exit to where the children were. Meanwhile, Peretz had stepped into action immediately, grabbing the children closest to him and rushing them toward the exit. He grabbed all the kids in his hands and was just running towards the exit when the shooter shot him in the leg, Danny said. He didn't care. He kept on running with the kids. When Oscar Stewart got to the lobby, he found a young man holding a semi-automatic rifle. Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein was opposite him, his hands drenched in blood. Stewart didn't hesitate. "Get down!" the former sergeant roared at the shooter, who fired 2 more rounds in response. Stewart moved within 5 feet of the shooter and maintained that distance as he screamed, "I'm going to kill you!" The threat apparently rattled the shooter, who turned and ran from the lobby. Stewart chased him into the parking lot and to his car. When he reached for his weapon again, incredibly, Stewart punched the car, startling the young man into letting go of the rifle and starting the ignition. An off-duty patrol agent, Jonathan Morales, met him there and shot 4 rounds into the car as the shooter sped away. Stewart and Morales took down the license number and returned to the wounded inside. Almog Peretz was among them, as was Rabbi Goldstein, who had been shot in the hand. A woman had been shot in the chest, and Stewart rushed to help another person perform CPR on her. Shortly after, a doctor, Howard Kay, arrived to help. It was only when he went to check her pulse that he saw the face of his wife, Lori Gilbert Kay. At that moment, a sheriff's deputy arrived just as Dr. Kay fainted. Almog Peretz recovered from his wound in the hospital, along with Rabbi Goldstein and a young girl who had also been hit. The gunman was taken into custody, and while his name has been shared by other media, this podcast will be focusing on the names of those who played a positive role in this story. Stewart admits that he has thought a lot about the young man with the rifle. He feels sorry for him and suspects that his life will be wasted in prison, all due to ignorance. Stewart also thinks about how, perhaps, if he had made it to the lobby a mere minute earlier, no one would have died. "I'm not a hero or anything," he says. "I just reacted. I thank God that He gave me the courage to do what I did." Despite being shaken and heartbroken by the event, Rabbi Goldstein knows all too well how much worse things could have been. Just 6 months before, a similar incident occurred at a synagogue in Pittsburgh that resulted in the deaths of 11 people, the deadliest act of anti-Semitic violence in modern U.S. history. Goldstein has taken comfort in the tremendous outpouring of support from his community across many different faiths, saying it was absolutely the warmest hug we could have ever gotten. He urged Jews everywhere to attend services the following weekend to show that terrorism and hatred will not win the day. Let's fill up the synagogues, he challenged. Let's stand tall. Let's dance together. What would you do if you were faced with a split-second decision like Oscar Stewart was? Would you be willing to trust that still, small voice within you, even if it meant moving toward danger? Do you, like Rabbi Goldstein, have the commitment to peace, to move forward and intentionally stop the cycle of hatred? Can you affirm, I am an agent of peace? How can you show compassion and mercy in your world today? Thanks for listening. May your day be filled with love, laughter, and infinite joy. Bye for now.
Hi, this is Scott Sampson, producer for the Daily Inspirations podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Want more inspiration in your life? Check out our blog for weekend stories of hope and uplifting news. If you've been enjoying the podcast, we hope you'll take a moment today and rate and review us and tell everyone in your circle so they can get the same inspiration that we hope you've received today. We have big plans for this podcast and we want you to be part of it. Visit dailyinspirationsandmeditations.com to contact us with your own inspirational stories or just to say hi.